today is that day where we try to build two investment portfolio, one at the $1,000 mark and one at the $10,000 mark. And I'm going to build this with you live. You can see how I build my portfolios. And I really want you to think about what is it that you want to accomplish, not just for next year, but for the years to come. One goal I try to attain for myself every year is try to get 10% more of what I did in the previous year, every year. And I outperform that every single year, I think, for the past 7 years since I started doing that. What that does is it just creates a challenge for yourself. No matter what you do, end up increasing in different areas. And it may not just be financially. It may be the investments that you have, your net worth, the people around you, the business opportunities. As a formula to build your wealth, it's also the network and the relationships that you are able to attain. The infrastructure. Has your infrastructure grown and gotten bigger in order for you to really elevate in the future? When you give, it empties your cup so that way you can receive more. And that more could be more blessings, more assets that just is bigger than what you had before. And that's what keeps the growth going and cycling. But let's dive right in. This is an account which I had set up. It's initially had $1,000. I took $1,000 and I dispersed it across different investments. It was for my godson initially, but this is just today's positions. But let's look at the long-term gains. As you can see, my top one is BCHD. I'm up 321%. LTCN, I'm up 325%. Jemiah, I'm down 3%. Lucid, 75%. Paymentus, up 64%, etc. How did I come together in terms of like picking out these stocks? So, because this account is about a year and a couple months old, right? And it only has these amount of stocks allocated. If I was to do this today, would I pick the same stocks? Partially, right? A lot of this has good infrastructure. I think it's meant for the long run. But as you can see, I'm up 87%. All time, and this is all time gains, so pretty much getting close to doubling the money that originally was established in the account. Some things I look for, right? So is BCHG a good buy? We're gonna look for these symbols. BCHG is part of the Grayscale family. I love Grayscale for everything that they do. They just blossoming up like crazy. September of 2022, this stock went all the way down to like 80 cents a piece, and I saw a huge opportunity. The reason why it peaked last time close to $60 a share. So worst case, my investments could 60x. They are heavily tied to crypto. I do not see crypto as going nowhere, and that's why I purchased these. I cannot buy crypto directly in that account. It is a custodial account. Therefore, finding a different vehicle that is similar, that can mirror it, is what Grayscale does. And that's why I always mention them quite a bit, because they provided so much great returns so far. As long as you keep in the down buying trend, you are definitely in the positives right now, guaranteed. When I saw that opportunity, I just saw the ratio and I'm like, crypto is down quite a bit. And that's what made me invest in this, as well as the other one, which was Litecoin Trust. The prices of these were so low that it made me derive to that decision. Jemiah, the reason I picked Jemiah is because, one, they were low, right? I think their peak price was around $30 a share. So at average, if it gets back to its norm, it's most likely going to 10x. That's the opportunity that I saw there. But you got to look at their business model. How have they been doing? At the time, I was like, man, 2022 was a hard year for them completely. Like they got bashed. And we're going to look at some of the financials, performance, annual. 2021, net negative. 2020, net negative. And 2022, net negative. Most companies, especially startups, they were going to be in that range. They are increasing in revenue. That's what I'm looking for as well, right? Their earnings may be in the negative, but their revenue is increasing. They may be burning through cash right now, similar to Tesla. They went through the same scenario until they were able to be profitable at some point, but it takes years for that to actually happen. Jemiah is positioned well because it's in Africa, a country that's still boomed to be developed, and they're doing a lot of e-commerce when it comes to delivery. They're mirroring what Amazon has done in the United States and the rest of the global world. I think they have an opportunity to either get acquired by Amazon in the future or even establish a great business, because Amazon doesn't have 100% of the market share for the businesses that it does. It only has a majority of it, I think, because of the fact that they provide so much great customer service, customer experience. Hands down, no arguing there. They've definitely excelled at that quite a bit, and that's what I think helped them grow so rapidly. And they've beat like all the other commerce platforms like eBay and things like that. Their shipping is so great. They just nailed it down to a T. Lucid Motors, EV market right now, I'm looking at everything for the 10, 15 5-year run. If you're not buying these stocks for the long term, because some of the laws that are being enforced aren't actually effective until like 2035, I believe. Right, in California, they require all vehicles to be EVs by that year. We still have 12 more years, 11 more years to go before we actually reach there. So you got to look at these for the long run. And EVs will have their bull run to the point where it's like once that demand really kicks in, sets high, and these revenues are booming like crazy, we might see that happening. Paymentus, they are more in the payment processing service. I don't think that's going nowhere as businesses need ways to process payments. I saw an opportunity there and I purchased. QDell, they're in the medical space. And the reason I picked them is, one, I saw what they performed prior. So let's open up that stock. Boom. So annual, they're all positive, right? Revenue is up. 2019, 2021, 2022, 2023. Their annual revenue is up. Their quarterly revenue is up except for the last Q3, which was a negative. But they're a good business. Like they're not, I don't see them going nowhere because their financials are pretty good. They're bringing in multi-billion. And their market cap right now is at $5 billion. I see them as getting to like the $10-15 billion mark in terms of what they do, right? If you didn't know, they develop and manufacture diagnosis testing technologies and solutions. I put them in the same bucket as lab because they're in a similar space, but they don't really focus on the testing part of it. They actually lab provides actual devices and everything. But I wanted to diversify, and that's why I picked that, and as well as Lab, which we're gonna go to next. Lab had a horrible year in 2022. I'm waiting for the 2023, but Q2 they were net negative, not a huge amount, just 15 million, and in Q4 of 2022, 20 million. So their debt, it looks like their earnings are getting a bit higher each quarter, so which is good. They're not showing the 2023 yet. And they're in the process of right now being merged with another company, another technology company, which I think might be good because they do need the help in that sense. But I think their technology, when it comes to like cancer diseases and things like that, it really will help hospitals thrive. And that's why I picked it. I have a huge portion of my other portfolios allocated to this. TDoc, providing medical things. See, I only bought 2 shares of this, and then Xpeng I bought 10. This is a current account, which is up about 90% from yesterday. There's no ways I could have predicted that it would have reached at that point at this time. I just have future outlook in terms of, I think overall the portfolio is going to increase. That's the mind state I have to get into when I'm actually picking this out. So we have $1,000 to spend. What are we buying if we were to build this all out today? You have the grayscale stocks. Which ones out of these I do recommend putting a good chunk in here. I do strongly believe these are going to explode in the future. So I would do ETCG because it hasn't experienced as much growth as the other ones. So that's one. We spent about $100 on that one. If you want to be exposed to Bitcoin, you could do that. Let's say we spent about $120. And then Litecoin Trust, it's at 18 bucks. So I would say 5 of these would be good. So 100 of LTCN. And this gives you all exposure to crypto pretty much. And then BCHG, which I feel it has some future potentials. I would do at same thing, $100. Right, that's me being a little bit conservative. And I'm gonna record these prices as is right now because I want to revisit a future video where we kind of look at these and see exactly what we'll be building. Now let's pretend that we round this off because when you purchase these, you gotta put a limit order in. So let's say we purchase this at 13, bam. So what you would do in terms of to figure out how much shares you buy is you multiply the 13 by whatever goes into 18, for example. The easiest one to do is the BCHD. You know that 20 times that stock, it would create the $100. VRAR is another one, but I don't see this as short term. Like you got to build this in long term, and I wouldn't put a whole lot in there, right? So VRAR, I'll put $50 in because I think it's low. It's all about AR, virtual reality in that case, right? And it's, as you can see, it's really low. The company financials aren't too great. Like they've been bleeding quite a bit. Minus 16 million, as you can see, it's all over the place. Their revenues is all over the place. but it's something you can like. I look at it as more of a gamble. Semiconductors, I think they're all at too high. I got their all-time high. Meta, I wouldn't buy. I think they're high. They're poised to increase, but I'm trying to find you the ones that are being battered right now and that has the biggest opportunity for an upside. So Paymentus, it's already getting close to where it was at its high like a couple years ago. Market cap is at 2 billion. I wouldn't do that right now. If it drops down lower, then maybe I'll do it. Beyond me. I do see an opportunity with them because of the fact that the whole vegan space meat industry, and they do have a lot of their meats inside of different restaurants. So let's do that one, BYND, and we are going to do $100. They are at 867, so let's just assume it's like $9 per share. Okay, where are we at? Let me just do a total. Law is one I think that is poised to break. They're in the law space. I would do $50 on them. Actually, maybe 75, right, on law. And they are at 767, so we put 775. And then Rivian, another car. Again, if you don't believe in EVs in the long term, don't do it. But Rivian, I would actually put, they're at 23.51. I put 75 on them. We got some risky ones like Star Equity and FIO. Those are poised to explode at times, but they're risky stocks. They're not stocks that I would actually tell you to put a whole lot of money in, but we're going to skip those. Xpeng is another one. I still believe in them for the long run. You do pay fees on this stock, so just be aware because it's not a US-based stock, so therefore you will have to do it. They're in the whole car flying space. That's why I believe in them. And they are at 13.61, so we'll put 13.75 per share. All right, we're at 820. Coinbase is super high. It's because thanks to crypto. Roblox is high too. I bought around 25, like I said I would. And there goes Jemiah. So we want to add Jemiah in here. And Jemiah is at 13.70. I'll put 3.75 per share. Nikola is a good one, I think, for the long term. And then Lab, of course, is I'm all for. So these last two, I'm going to put Nikola, and then we're going to rebalance the portfolio a little bit. So Nikola, I put 100 in, and it's at 90. I put 95 cents. And then Lab is at 220. So Lab, I'll put more because I don't know. I just feel like they're likely to explode. Anything happens bio-related, these stocks, when they explode like crazy. Okay. So how do we go about rebalancing this? Is just minusing things where we don't feel or strong enough so that we can get to our $1,000 mark, right? So I got 12 in here. Typically, I try to aim to get 10, but because of some gentrification, I would actually take out Bitcoin. I would keep the other ones. I feel if we're looking for growth, that one might be slower than all the other ones. So I'm going to delete that one. So we have ETCG, LTC, and BCHD. So now we got to get $50. So to do that, I would probably do Rivian at 50 and Law at 50 actually. Actually, we make VRAR 25 because that one is very risky. I don't see the point of investing heavy into it. But there you have it. So this is what a portfolio of $1,000 look like, and I recorded all these because I want to revisit this with you one day so we can see how well we have progress and made along the way. So the $10,000 portfolio, right? I'm not going to go through each one of it individually. I actually have built this out, and I'm going to show you the breakdown that I want you to implement. Okay, so $10,000 today, what do you invest in? So this is what I think you should do. These stocks here, you cannot invest in Robinhood, so you have to do either E-Trade. Me, I prefer Charles Schwab's because I have my retirements there. So I can just log in and I can see an overview of all my accounts. It makes everything seems a little bit more consolidated, but you have a lot of options and preferences to you. ITYAX, there are a mutual fund. ARGFX mutual fund as well, black owned. That's why I support them. But they've done pretty nicely throughout COVID and different times. ITYX is more concentrated in the technology sector. That is why I'm for them, because when technology stocks go up, you talking about EVs, AI, and all these things, it shoots up as well. And these last four are all grayscale, right? So when I put 10%, remember $10,000. So you would put 1,000 into ITYX, 1,000 into ARGFX, 500 into GDLC, 500 into LTCN, 500 into BCHG, and 5% into GBTC. And then you got Robinhood stocks, Nikola, right? 500 to Nikola, then 5 into Lab, 200 into Neo, Workhorse 200, T-Doc, GoTo, Tal. They're in the education space. Jemiah, we spoke about, Xbank, Future. Star is more of a risky stock, so I just threw it in there. Since you have more room, why not, right? $200. If you lose it, it's all good. Law, Rivian, Beyond Meat, Paymentus, I think are good. Robinhood, crypto that you can buy right now. It depends on your state too, because New York sometimes limit you from what you could buy. But I believe these should be available to buy. Matic, LTCN, ETC, Doge, and Shiba Inu. Shiba and Doge, those are your meme coins. ETC and LTC and Matic, they're more of the serious things because they actually have technology that could be relied on. But I made a huge amount of money on Doge. I always say put a little portion into those meme stocks, but don't heavily concentrate on them. And then Near is something that I really like. I really like quite a bit. It went up nicely. It's surpassing my performance in Matic right now, which is surprising. I know they had a good technology, but Matic, I saw them being used a lot much more, especially with like Ethereum 2.0 that came out. But for some reason, they were pretty much killing it right now at this moment. There's another one I like to add in here is Cadena. They are super low right now. I think maybe at 1-2%. So I'm going to switch these around. I'm going to put 2%. Actually, yeah, we could do 2% in Cadena. I'm trying to see if there's anything else we could subtract and take out. But no, I think these are solid. So 2% in Cadena. So that means we got to take 3% from Near, right? Again, when I'm saying 3% is you do the 3% times the $1,000 that you have. I'm sorry, the $10,000 that you have, then that converts to 300, and then the Cadena times the $10,000, it would actually be $200, right? So if you add all these up, it should equal to 100% slash $10,000, right? And you actually multiply this. Again, these are estimated amounts, right? You have to probably do the purchase, figure out how many shares you actually have to buy of each one of these. Cryptos is, I think, the only one that lets you buy in a specific amount. So like if you wanted to put 200 into this, you can. But you would have to set this up in Coinbase. You could do this in Robinhood, and then you could do this in Robinhood. And then these you have to do with either E-Trade, Charles Schwab's, and whatever other brokerage offers these right here. So this is it, guys. This is it. I'm going to record the amounts as of today for each one of these so that way we can keep track of our performance. How well is our $10,000 portfolio does. And just to show you, so I originally created this account to do penny stock trading because I was like, let me put 10,000 to penny stock and see how well I could do. As you can see, the penny stocks have done horrible, right? These are worth like nothing. But I wanted to rebalance the portfolio. So what I did, I decided to invest in more of the grayscale stocks. So I'm heavily, as you can see, inside of the grayscale stocks. So year-to-date return, 99%. This one is like completely out, right? I lost a lot in penny stocks in that sense, right? But I wasn't investing a whole lot either. I was doing a couple of hundred. It's when I got to like the grayscale stocks, I was doing like thousands and purchasing at a time. But as you can see, I'm up in BCHD 700%, about $7,000. LTCN about 384%. And the grayscale large digital cap, which is kind of like their mutual fund of their different stocks, right? The grayscale company is up about 100%. It's gonna not perform as well as the other one because they're more aggressive. But at the same time, when the market is doing bad, this is not gonna go down as much, and the other ones are gonna plummet like 10-20% in a day, while the large cap digital fund might do like 3-4-5% a day, much slower, right? The risk are a lot less. Hertz, I bought a long time ago. I don't have much of it. I did invest at one point in one of my main portfolios into it, but then I said, I'm gonna back down. But as you can see, all the other penny stocks are doing horrible, but I didn't invest a lot into them, just a couple hundred. All my grayscales are all green right now. They're up. The smallest one is ETCG, and that's up 20%, right? So this account is doing well. As you can see, it's almost triple the value, right? 185%. I invested about 10,000. It's doing like almost triple the value inside of the account. Looking forward to just seeing and analyzing what we built out as of today. And today is December 27, 2023. I'm going to record the prices of each one of these selections so that way we can keep track on how well we've been doing from a monthly basis. Hope you found this insightful. Stay encouraged. Look for opportunities in real estate as well. I encourage you, if you want to get into that single family home, look into the multifamily situation. It's a mental thing. It's not for everybody, but it frees up your ability to just be able to generate much more wealth because you're able to offset your living expenses. The biggest expenses that people have is their rent, usually the mortgage, right? And plus all your utilities. But then if you're renting and you're able to offset that, then you'll be in a much more golden state to have the means to be able to invest into like different accounts. I don't put my trust in men. I put my trust in Jesus. All these right here is by the blessing that God have given me. I can see numbers. I understand numbers, not because I've been reading so many books. It's because of the knowledge and wisdom that God has imposed on me. For some reason, they communicate with me in ways that a lot of people sometimes do not see. And that's what I'm sharing with you here. The way that I do my analysis, interpretations, reading financials may not be the typical way that a lot of financial advisors do. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm sharing these just for the sake of sharing this with you for entertainment purposes. And if you get something out of it, great, right? See how it applies to you. But I do encourage you to speak to your financial advisor because making any financial investments requires risk. And if you lack that understanding, you should ask a million questions. Don't just jump into things just because someone else told you to do it. Even as I'm explaining things to you right now, research these, make sure it makes sense to you, make sure you're comfortable with it because this is your actual money that you'll be playing with in order for you to do that. So peace and love, trust in Jesus, have an amazing one. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for checking out my video. My goal is to be able to share as much knowledge, wisdom, experience that I've been given, privilege from God over the years to be able to give that to you and also be able to receive from you as well. This can definitely be a two-way dialogue. It doesn't have to be one way at all. It's just for us to be engaged. And I'm just continuously sharing as things that I see move along the market. So I hope you find insights and your feedback is greatly appreciated as well. How can you support me? Right now, I have these wristbands. You can get them at luxury.com. I've been selling them on eBay for quite some time. It just says make your statement. It's just an encouraging, inspirational message. You can purchase these right now, available on there. Eventually, it will be spun off to other things and I'll have other products, but that's one way you can do right now. But most importantly is just making sure you receive something from the content I've given. And if you have any feedback, that is probably the most valuable thing I could say you can give to me. So I appreciate it. And I hope that we can continue to build a long-term relationship with each other and just grow with one another. Peace. And if you have any questions, definitely drop it below.